Let me ask you something. What if the answer to having more freedom in your life isn't quitting your job? What if it's simply building something beside it? Because I think sometimes we make this whole idea of changing our lives way more complicated than it needs to be. We think we need to make some huge decisions, like quit your job, take some massive risk, start over. So everything we've worked for out the window. And look, I don't believe that at all, especially at our age, right? We've got bills, we've got responsibilities, we've got mortgages, we've got families, and whether we like it or not, we've got a retirement getting closer every single year. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you to quit your job tomorrow and hope everything works out. No, that is ridiculous. What I'm going to tell you is this. I think you need another option. Something you can start building now, while you're still working, while you still have an income coming in, while you still have time to figure things out. Because here's the question I started asking myself. What happens if I do nothing? Seriously, what happens if 5 years from now, nothing changes and it basically stays the same? You're still getting up at the same time, still going to that same job, still waiting for Friday, still looking at the bills, still wondering whether you're saved enough for retirement, still telling yourself, someday I'll travel more, or someday I'll have more time, someday I'll slow down, someday I'll finally do the things I've been putting off. But here's what I've learned. Someday has a funny way of moving. It gets closer, the closer you get to it, and somehow it moves a little further away. That's one of the reasons I started looking at online businesses differently. I didn't need another full-time job. I definitely didn't want something where I was spending every night chasing people around, sending messages, calling friends and family, trying to convince somebody to buy something. Look, I've done that world, okay? That wasn't what I wanted. I wanted something simple, something I could learn, something I could work on for a couple of hours every day, and something where a lot of the business could be eventually automated. That's when things started making more sense to me, because I realized something. I'm not trying to replace my entire life overnight. I'm building an asset, right? I'm learning skills. I'm building an audience. I'm learning digital marketing. I'm learning how to automate work. I'm learning how to create content that attracts people instead of chasing them. And I'm doing it one day at a time. That's it. There's no magic button. There's no secret website where you click something tonight and you're rich tomorrow night. And if somebody tells you there is, I'd probably keep walking. But there are systems. There are proven processes. There are people already doing this, and there are skills you can learn. That's what changed things for me. I didn't invent the system. Okay, I'm not some marketing genius sitting here telling you I discovered a secret to the internet. I found a proven system that other people were already following, and I thought, okay, if ordinary people can do this, why can't I? And maybe that's the question you need to ask yourself. You spend decades learning how to do things, think about everything you've figured out in your life already, jobs, relationships, mortgages, technology, raising families, dealing with people, solving problems, getting through hard times. And now somebody puts an online business in front of us and suddenly we think, oh, I could never learn that. Come on. Of course you can. You don't need to know everything on day one. You just need to be willing to learn the next thing, then the next thing, then the next thing. That's how I've approached this. A couple of focused hours a day, learning, creating content, improving marketing mistakes, fixing them, then doing it again tomorrow. Because those 2 hours aren't about today. They're about where I want my life to be a year from now. That's the part I want you to think about. Imagine you starting today, not perfectly, not knowing everything, but simply committing to learning and building for 2 focused hours a day. Where could you be in 12 months from now? Now ask yourself the opposite question. Where will you be in 12 months from now if you don't start? That's the question that gets me, because a year is going to pass either way. We don't get to stop the clock, so you can spend that year waiting, or you can spend that year building, and I'm choosing to build. If you've been thinking about creating another source of income, if retirement has been sitting in the back of your mind, or maybe you just want more control over your time, take a look at what I'm doing. Don't take my word for it. Go look for yourself. Click the link in my profile, watch the videos, and grab your free 10K and 30-day blueprint. Take a look at it. Take a look at the system that I'm following. Worst case, you look at it and decide it's not for you. That's okay. Best case, you look at it and you realize, you know what? I could actually do this. And maybe today becomes the day you finally stop waiting for someday and start building something for yourself. I'll see you on the other side.